Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner Horror Podcast. I'm your host as always, Corey, and this is going to be episode number 10. This is going to be a quick review on from 1980, Death Ship. So just to jump straight into it, Death Ship is about this cruise liner in the beginning of the movie, where it's essentially maybe like 100 passengers, or maybe a few more than 100, maybe a couple hundred passengers. Anyways, basically, they're having a good time. And the captain and the crew start to notice that there's this bogey ship out there heading their way. They try to change course. Seems that the ship that's following them ends up changing the course with them, heading straight for them, plows into them. The ship sinks, and the only people that are left are I think one passenger, maybe two passengers, a couple members of the crew, their family, and the captain. Now, they're on a float in the sea, and they come across a ship, same ship that miraculously rammed into them. They board the ship to only realize that there's no crew, there's nobody there. It's essentially a ghost ship. And no, I'm not making a pun. Um, but essentially, something has happened here. This ship seems to be running itself. And they almost want to pick up on it right away, but they end up not. Almost like they're a little naive to the situation. A few people start to die off. And this is just due to the ship itself being haunted. And then um, ultimately, they have to fight to survive and get off the ship. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to spoil it for you. That's the gist of the story. Um, I will say there are some things that I did like about this movie, and there's some things I didn't like about this movie. Um, as far as recommendation, uh, I'm kind of torn between saying, yes, this is a great movie, you should go out and buy it, or no, this is a shitty movie, stay away from it. It is a classic, I will give it that. And some of the scenes are actually pretty cool, and some of the thoughts behind things are actually pretty cool. So, some of the things that I liked about this movie, um, the gore effects were really good. There was some scenes where it was just really cool. There's this one scene where they go down into essentially the belly of the ship, and well, it's a couple members of the crew, but they go down into the ship, and there's all these dead bodies laying around everywhere, and they're like rotted bodies. It's pretty cool. Um, and then the other things that I liked about it was um, some of the acting was portrayed really well. In a couple scenes where, well, basically in a sense, the captain of the old ship that sunk has almost become possessed from this ship, and he's now um, basically running the show. So it's really cool. That was a cool concept. Like I said, the storyline is great. Um, some things were portrayed well. Now, into my dislikes, there was it does seem a bit dragged out, um, almost like you're waiting to get to the punch, and that's just it. So it lacks, I guess you would say speed or something. I don't know. This movie sits at 94 minutes, and you feel all of that. Almost at the end, I was kind of thrilled at the end that the movie was kind of over, and I don't mean that in any way bad, but there was some scenes where I was just like, okay, let's get through this. Um, Case in point, there's a shower scene where a girl goes to get into the shower. The door miraculously locks. She can't get out. Her boyfriend can't get her out. And next thing you know, it is pouring down blood on her. And that scene literally goes on for like 4 to 5 minutes of her just flailing around in this shower, this bloody shower. I was almost like waiting for it because at times you could see where like the bottom of it was filling up just a little bit, So I was like, well, maybe it's gonna fill up and drown her or something, but it doesn't. That's the thing. Like, I was honestly like going, okay, maybe that's what they're getting at here, and then it just honestly doesn't happen. So it was like, well, that scene could have been like a minute and a half or 2 minutes long, But oh well. Nonetheless, like I said, the graphics were pretty decent. There's this one scene where this guy gets essentially sandwiched in a net of dead, rotting bodies. Oh, that was pretty cool. That was pretty neat. Um, yeah, that's about it. And then, like I said, some of the just campy stuff that was happening, or it was like, okay, I could have saw that coming a mile away. Almost like I wish that things would have been a little more planned, um, or involved in the making of this movie. I think there was even one scene where I even saw a shadow of a cameraman, and then I did see a cameraman in one scene as well. There was a scene where the captain's standing up on like a top balcony type deal, and he hollers out to the other captain or whatever, and he says, "Meet me in the brig" or whatever, and he's you can actually literally see cameramen and a camera, I believe, sitting like off to the side of him. So some stuff was executed poorly in this film. Honestly, I wish there was some stuff better. Yeah, I've honestly been wanting this in my collection for like the longest time, just because of the cover art. I love that cover; it's sick. Um, but yeah, this movie honestly I had high hopes for it coming into it, and I wish it delivered a little bit better. But ultimately, I think if the process was sped up just a little bit faster, it would have been on point. Even though I can look past some of the crappy stuff in the film. Um, but yeah, just like I said, if it delivered just a little bit faster, I think that would have been spot on for me. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But there was some scenes where, oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. There was some scenes where I was just found left wondering what happened. Like, what happened to this crew? Where is this crew? Where's the backstory here? It was just an empty ship. And maybe it was made to be that way, but I felt myself throughout the film going, what happened? And it was kind of explained a little bit. Essentially, this is a Nazi warship, and it basically runs off of blood or whatever. But it almost seems like it just needed to be explained a little bit more. And like I said, the only way that it was really ultimately explained um, was that it was supposed to be destroyed or whatever, and and I guess it just never happened, and that was basically it. Like, okay, well, what happened then? Because it was supposed to be destroyed. Why didn't it get destroyed? What happened? Was it just pure evil and it just took over? Or what? I mean, there was like scenes where you could tell where, in a sense, it was like almost like a concentration camp, where people were getting like mutilated in like a makeshift hospital, because there was like gold teeth in a jar, and then watches and stuff in another one. So it almost seemed like people were tortured there and brutally killed there. Um, so ultimately, you can tell that there was some Nazis aboard this ship. But yeah, all in all, so do I recommend this? I guess it's a very fine line. Um, did I like it? It was a decent film. Am I gonna rewatch it anytime soon? Probably not. I might revisit it maybe once in a blue moon, but it's gonna be very far and in between. Um, so yeah, based upon that, I don't really recommend it. I mean, other than if you like having classic 1980s films, um, and maybe you can see past some of the crumminess of this film, then maybe yeah. But I mean, just for this, if you're serious about collecting stuff like that, I recommend you check out something else. But I mean, ultimately, I'm not upset with my decision making on buying this. Just because for years I've been wanting this movie just because of that cover art. So I've got it in my collection now, and yeah, that's it. Um, so yeah, with that being said, that was Death Ship, and yeah, enter at your own risk, I guess. But that's it for episode 10. Tell me what you guys think down below. Comment on it. Let me know what you guys think. What's your guys' thoughts on it? What's some of your favorite scenes from this if you have seen it? Um, like always, like, share, subscribe. Check me out on the Facebook group. Um, and I plan on dropping a top 10 video this week as well. So if you guys want a theme of that, let me know and hit me up in the comment section, and I'll do a theme. But till next time, later guys.